Hello. Today, talking about solving some inequalities. All right. Good news is it's basically what you did in the fall, solving equations. Just a few new things to keep in mind, which we'll review as we go through the video. First off, simple, straightforward inequality here. So first thing to do, make a big zero. Okay. Do that by combining opposites. Negative 7 plus 7 is 0. And the reason we do that is it gets rid of that 7. So if we look here, now we only have two terms. That 7 went away. Okay, 1, 2, 3 terms up here, 1, 2 down here. Things are looking up. Next, we want to make a big 1. We're going to do it there. How do we do that? Using division, dividing by 2, and that will help us to eliminate that coefficient. So now the x is all by itself. We're very happy about that. Time for graphing. Okay, now since our arrow points to the left, our graph will be going to the left starting at 1.5. And if you look here, there's an equal sign, part of an equal sign underneath that inequality. So that means we'll need a filled in circle. There we go. Okay, next. Another one, starting off by making a big 0 once again. We want to combine opposites to get rid of that term. See, now we only have 2 things to deal with instead of 3 like above. Next, making a big 1 using division. Since it's a 3 in front of that x, we'll divide by 3. And there goes our coefficient. We have x all by itself. Time to graph. We look at this and our arrow points to the right, as will our graph. And since there's no equal sign at all under the arrow, under the inequality symbol, we will use an open circle this time. Oops. There we go. So here's the twist I was talking about. When you're multiplying and divided by negative numbers, you got to do something a little different. All right. We start off, basically the first 2 steps are the same. Our big 0 to eliminate the term. Dividing by making a big 1 to eliminate that coefficient. Now keep in mind, when you have a negative coefficient there, you have to divide by a negative number as well. Okay? Now, what happened? Look at our inequality symbols. We divided by that negative number, and we had to turn our inequality symbol around. That's the twist. Okay, you got to twist that inequality symbol when you multiply or divide by a negative number. Okay, on the graphing, putting a point at 2.5, our arrow points to the left, so our graph will go to the left, and we'll use an open circle since there's no inequality, since there's no equal sign. Some people get freaked out by this. Hey, just relax. Okay? Now, we're going to start off making a big 0, but this time we use our big 0 first to eliminate a variable term. Okay? Now you're going to use opposites, but you can't just use a negative 9 here. You got to use a negative 9x. And then notice you got to subtract it from the other variable term on the other side. That's how that works. Some people like to do a subtract 9 here and then subtract 9 from the 8. Danger, don't do that. Okay, so our variable term went away. We had 4 terms up top here. Now we're down to 3. So that's good news. However, we still need to get rid of 1. So we're going to need another big 0. Okay, we got to get rid of that negative 8. So we do that. And things are looking even better. Time to bring in the big 1. Okay. And we'll get rid of our coefficient. Our problem is done. Time for some graphing. Okay. And we can use a filled in circle since we have that equal sign going on there. And our graph will go to the right. Parentheses. Hey, just get rid of them right away. And they're not a problem. So step 1 is to distribute to get rid of those parentheses, all right? Then we're back where we were on the other one. We're going to need some big zeros to get rid of some stuff. First thing we need to get rid of is that variable term. Okay, so using opposites, remember to put the proper term under the variable there. Get rid of that extra number. Now is the time to do. That's right, bring in the big one. Getting rid of that coefficient. And there's our final answer. Graphing, we'll need a filled in circle with our graph moving to the left. And notice too that we had to, our inequality switched again because we were dividing by a negative number. All compound inequalities, of course. All right, now it looks like a mess, but it's not so bad. Just think of it as kind of like two inequalities that you solve at the same time. Okay, still starting off with a big zero. We're used to this. A little bit different because we got to do it on all three spots. It's easy to forget this to do it in all three spots, you know. So that part's a little tricky, but as long as you're keeping your head straight, you'll be fine. Now we need to get rid of that coefficient, so we bring in the big one. But just like above, you got to remember to do it in all three spots. Okay, you do that, you're in good shape. Time to graph. Graphing is going to be a little different this time. Okay, because we're going to need a point at 2.5 or negative 2.5 and a point at 3. Filled in circle here, open circle here, and then we're going to shade between them. All right, cool. Two separate ones at once. What? With different numbers. Well, let's see what that's all about. All right, so yeah, it looks like a mess to me, but we're going to clean it up. It's going to be all right. Now, the thing is, we're going to start off like we did before with big zeros, okay? Because the thing is, we need to solve these together because we'll be graphing these on the same line, all right? So we got some big zeros going on. Now look, here's where you had to use different numbers like we warned you about, because here we want to get rid of a positive 2, and here we want to get rid of a negative 7. So we had to use different numbers to do that. So now things are starting to look a lot better. We go from big zeros to, yep, big ones. And just like before, you know, our coefficient here was a 3. Over here it's a 4, so we have to use different numbers and make sure you're doing the, you know, using the correct numbers in the correct spots, paying some attention there. And there's your final answer. And when we graph these, you know, kind of got to use your head a little bit. Here it says x is less than negative 2, so we're going to put a dot at negative 2 and shade to the left. Here it says x is greater than negative 0.5. See how our arrow points to the right? And the equal sign, so we'll need a closed circle and going off to the right. All right. Good job there, race fans. Good luck with your assignment.